Hello, class. I tried to tell you, and you probably didn't believe me, but chapter 5 is short. There's only 5 lessons. So here we are, ready to do our chapter 5 study guide. You should have completed this yesterday on your own, so you should already have this finished and ready. You're just going to follow along with me and make any corrections you need to make to your study guide as we go. Okay? All right. Let's get started. All right, number 1. The camping club wants to rent rafts. Each, I hope you boxed your clue words, raft can hold 8 people. Which equation could be used to find out how many rafts are needed for 32 people? We want to know how many rafts. Okay, so I need to know if I have 8 rafts, okay. Oh no, it holds 8 people. Can fit into how many rafts? I'll use an R to equal 32 people total. So I need to know how many rafts are needed for 32 people. So it's going to look something like this. So I know that my total in this problem is 32. Because I know that my total in this problem is 32, then 32 needs to be by itself on either side of the equal sign. It doesn't matter which side as long as it's by itself. So I can immediately eliminate any problems that have 32 as a factor. 32 is our product. Okay, it's our product. It's our total number that we want to get to. And when you do that, class, look what happens. There's only one option left. What times 8 equals 32? Well, that's the same as saying 8 times what equals 32, right? So C is your answer. And you should have known that 32 is going to be your product because we're not multiplying complicated numbers like 32 times 8. The only 2-digit numbers we multiply at this point are tens. So unless this said 30, there should have been no question on where it went in the equation. Select the equations that show the distributive property. Mark all that apply. Okay. Distributive property, remember that's when you break it apart, you make 2 smaller problems, you add them back together to make find the answer to the bigger problem. So I have 8 times 20 equals 8 times 10 plus 10. Is 10 plus 10 broken apart from 20? Absolutely. That is showing one of the steps of the distributive property. 5 times 60 equals 5 times 20 plus 40. Is 20 plus 40 created from breaking 60 into more friendly numbers? Absolutely. Thirty times 6 equals 6 times 30. There's no breaking apart here happening. Now, let's think about what property this is showing. The commutative property, good, showing that the order doesn't matter and the product will remain the same. Okay, let's look at this next one. 4 times 4 plus 3 equals 9 times 7. Okay, let's look at this addition portion. 4 plus 3, are those numbers that were broken apart from this number, 7? Yes, 4 plus 3 equals 7. So 9 times 4 plus 3 is the same as 9 times 7. So this is showing the distributive property. Okay, number 3. Choose the number from the box that makes the sentence true. A library has 48 shelves of fiction books. There are 6 shelves in each cabinet. So there are blank cabinets of fiction books in the library. So I know that there are blank cabinets with 6 shelves each that totals 48 shelves. So I need to know what times 6 equals 48. We have memorized our 6's, so we should know that 8 times 6 equals 48. All right, flip your paper over. Okay. For numbers 4a through 4d, choose true or false for each equation. Remember, we're not going to guess. Okay? We need to look at the problem, work it out, and make sure it's true. We're not just going to guess. So 5 times 4 plus 4 equals 8 times 5. Okay, well, let's talk about distributive property like we just did. Let's look at our addition problem in parentheses. Does this line up or equal the factor on this side that's different? So is this 5 times 4 plus 4 the same as doing 5 times 8? Yes, 4 plus 4 equals 8. So this is just the distributive property, so this is true. Eight times 3 plus 3 equals 8 times 5. Okay, well, 3 plus 3, does that equal 5? It does not, so this is not going to be true. Three times 5 plus 5 times 5 equals 8 times 5. All right, so we're going to actually solve these, okay? We know 3 times 5 is 15, plus 5 times 5 is 25. Okay, what's 15 plus 25? 40. So I know this side equals 40. Does this side equal 40? 8 times 5? Yes, so this is true. Notice I did not look at this and guess, okay? An equation means that everything on this side of the equal sign equals or is the same as everything on that side of the equal sign. So it's all you need to do is solve each side and make sure they have the same product. Okay, let's look at the last one. 3 times 2 plus 8 times 3 equals 8 times 5. Okay, well, I know this side's going to equal 40. So 3 times 2 is 6 plus 8 times 3, 24. What's 6 plus 24? 30. Does 30 equal 40? No, this is false. Work those problems out, my friends. Work them out. All right. Number 5. Alia planted 30 trays of flowers. Each tray held 8 flowers. Okay. Javon planted 230 flowers. Did Alia plant more flowers than Javon, the same number of flowers as Javon, or fewer flowers than Javon? So first we need to figure out how many that Alia planted, right? Okay, this shouldn't be something that you do in your head and you guess. That's not what a good mathematician does. Okay, she has 30 trays. Each tray holds 8. So she's got 30 groups of 8. Okay, if I take my 0 away, then what's 3 times 8? 24. Put your zeros back. So Alia planted 24. Javon planted 240. Javon planted 230. So that tells me that Alia planted more flowers than Javon. For numbers 6a through 6d, choose yes or no to show whether the unknown number is 6. So all we're going to do is we're going to put 6 in here. There you go. And we're going to see if it's true or not. Ready? 4 times 6 is 24, not 32. So no. 6 times 6 is 36. Yep. 8 times 6 is 48, not 49. So no. 6 times 30 is 180. Well, I don't know. Let me check. Take your zeros away. Does 6 times 3 equal 18? Yeah. Okay, so this one's true. Always work those problems out. Don't just glance and guess. Okay, each train can carry 20 cars. Use the number line to find how many cars 6 trains can carry. Okay, so I want to solve for 6 trains with 20 cars. Okay, that's what I'm solving for. I want to know how many trains or how many cars that is. 6 trains, each train carries 20 cars. So 6 sets of 20. 6 sets of 20 is the same as 6 jumps of 20. Okay, so you should have already known you're not going to be jumping by 6 because this is already counting by 10 for you. So my first jump's going to be 20, right? And then I'm going to keep going. 10, 20, 10, 20. 10, 20, 10, 20, 10, 20, 10, 20. Okay, I went all the way down the number line counting by 20. So now I'm going to, hold on, we have a bell. Okay, so now I'm going to jump down my lily pads that are already drawn on the counting by 20 marks 6 times to see where I land. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that means 6 jumps of 20 equals 120 cars. Okay. Grab the next page, 295. Here we go. Alrighty. Samantha made this multiplication model. Complete the equation that represents the model. Okay. So to make this a little easier to understand, let's go ahead and draw circles around these groups. They're already in groups, which is pretty easy to see, but this makes it even more clear. So now that you see there's groups, okay, let's remember how we write groups. 3 groups of, right? So we have 3 groups of. Well, how much is in each group? I wouldn't say 3 because they're not just 3. These are 3 10 sticks. And how much is 3 10 sticks worth? 10, 20, 30. So that means each group has 30 in it. So 3 groups of 30. And we want to find the total. So you could go back up here and you could count by tens all the way down and get your total. Or you could cover up that 0 and say, well, 3 times 3 is 9. And put your 0 back. So you should have that 3 groups of 30 equals 90. A printer prints newsletters for many groups every month. Which group uses the greatest number of pieces of paper? The absolute thing that you should not do is look at this and guess. Don't do it. Don't you do it. What I want you to do is draw an extra little column over here. Get your little rows in here. Okay. And these are going to be our totals. And we're going to solve for all of them, just like this. 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, 8 times. 5 times 70. Well, what's 5 times 7? 35. Put your 0 back. 350. 6 times 80. Well, what's 6 times 8? 48. Put your 0 back. 480. 7 times 60. Well, what's 7 times 6? 42. Put your 0 back. 420. 8 times 50. Well, what's 8 times 5? 40. Put your 0 back. 400. Now, it's very easy to see which group uses the greatest number of pieces of paper. Remember that greatest means the largest. Okay? So which of these is the largest number? 480. Good. So your answer should be the Book Lovers Club. Your answer should not be 480 because your question asked which group. So you need to have the group name written down. All right, number 10. A store has 30 boxes of melons. Each box holds 4 bags. Each bag holds 2 melons. What is the total number of melons in the store? Oh, this is a multi-step problem. Now, you could be super smart and say, okay, well, there's 30 boxes. They each have 4. And then each bag holds 2. And write out this complicated problem. Or you could draw a picture, right? So first of all, let's figure out how many melons would be in one box. So if here is one box, right? And one box holds 4 bags. Oh, I drew my bag a little too big. Okay, so one box has 4 bags, right? And then inside each bag is 2 melons. Are you following me so far? So this is one box. It has 4 bags, and they each have 2 melons in them. So that means one box equals how many melons? 2, 4, 6, 8. So one box equals 8 melons. Now I could solve it this way. That's fine. But by figuring out how many melons are in one box, I can say now that I have 30 boxes that each have 8 melons. Do you see that? Drawing a picture makes math so much easier, okay? Do it as much as you can because it will help you to see and understand these word problems. So now if I just have 30 times 8 and I cover up my 0, 3 times 8 I know is 24, put my 0 back. So I know that 30 times 8 is 240, so there are 240 melons. If I solved it this way, I would have had 30 times 4, which would have been 120, then times that by 2. 12 times 2 is 24. Put my 0 back. Same answer, but you may not have known how to write out the problem as a whole in the beginning. Okay, so drawing a picture can be very, very helpful. All right. Number 11. Heather's puppy weighs 23 pounds. He has been gaining 3 pounds every is just like each month as he grows. If this pattern continues, how much will the puppy weigh 5 months from now? Okay. So he weighs 23 pounds. He's been gaining 3 pounds every month as he grows. How much will he weigh in 5 months? Okay, so first of all, let's figure out how much weight is he going to gain in 5 months. So if we want to know total 5 months, 3 pounds each month, how many pounds is that in all? So 5 months, 3 pounds a month would be 15 pounds, right? But that's not the answer because he wouldn't be 15 pounds. He started at 23. And they're saying how much will he weigh 5 months from now? So 5 months from now, he should gain 15 pounds. So when you gain it, you're adding it. So I want to add 15 to the 23 that we started with. So 3 plus 5 is 8. 2 plus 1 is 3. So her puppy would weigh 38 pounds. Okay, if you know the abbreviation, it would be LBS. If you don't, that's okay. You can write out the word pounds. Either of these work. All right. Flip your paper over. Okay, Tim describes a pattern. He says the pattern shown in the table is add 3. Is Tim correct? And how do you know? All right, well, first, take a look over your table. And let's just figure out what the pattern would be like, even if we didn't see this message up here. So I have packages and I have markers. So I have one package is 4 markers. And I can see as I go down that I'm skip counting by 4s on the bottom. And I am increasing by 1 package on the top. So I know that my pattern is going to either be add 4 markers for each package or multiply each package by 4. So he's way wrong. So I'm going to put no, because he's not correct at all. And then they want us to explain how we know. Okay, well, based on the table, I can see that the pattern is add 4 markers for each package or multiply each package by 4. Okay, either way, it's still by 4. It is not by 3. Okay? All right, number 13. This shows a part of a multiplication table. Find the missing numbers. Explain how you found the numbers. Okay, so you want to think back to when we had the lesson on the multiplication table, and you know that you are multiplying whether you're going across or whether you're going up and down. You're also skip counting, okay? So I know that to get from 35 to 40, what am I skip counting across with? 35 to 40. So that's 5. So I'm going to write it really tiny right here, plus 5, so I can remember. Now, if I'm going down 35 to 42, what did I skip count here by? Well, 35 to 42, I would need plus 7. So I'm going to write it real small right here. Okay, so if this is plus 7, then this is plus 7. So 42 plus 7 is going to be 49. All right. Okay. So that means that this row has to be 7s. Okay, do you see that? Because I'm going 7s, I'm going 35, 42, 49. That's counting by 7s. Okay? All right. Now, this one across 35, 40 is counting by 5s. So that means this row has to be 5, which makes this one 6, and this one 7, because they just count in order. And let's check that math. 5 times 7 is 35. Yes. 6 times 7 is 42. Yes. 7 times 7 is 49. Yes. So if I'm counting up this way, I need to count up this way. What comes after 7? Well, 8. So then that must be the 8 column. Let's check that math. 5 times 8 is 40. Yep. Let's finish it. 6 times 8 is 48. If you couldn't remember, then you know you can skip count by adding down. 7 times 8 is, well, if you're not sure, add another 8 to 48, and you should get 56. Okay, so your missing numbers are 48, 49, 56. Okay, We found them by figuring out what row they came from. Okay, so we looked for the skip counting pattern. So we looked for the skip counting pattern. To figure out what rows these came from. Rows and columns, actually. What rows and columns this piece came from. Then we multiplied to find the missing products. Okay, think of this as a puzzle, okay, of a game. You can totally figure it out. Okay, number 14, describe a pattern for this table. All right, well, 3 tanks have 240 fish in them. 4 tanks have 325. You might think, oh my gosh, this is way too complicated. But no, let's break it down. Let's figure out how many fish would be in 1 tank, right? So I need to know 3 times what equals 240. Okay, I need to know how many are in 1 tank. So take away your 0. 3 times what equals 24? Well, that'd be 8. But when you put your 0 back, you got to put it here. So 3 times 80. Okay. What does 4 times 8 equal 32? Yeah. 5 times 8 equals 40. Yep. Okay. So that means there's 80 fish in 1 tank. So there's 2 ways that I could write this pattern. I would say the easiest way is multiply the number of tanks by 80, which is what we figured out here, right? Multiply. They didn't make this line long enough. The number of tanks by 80. But that's not the only way you could write it, okay? So over here, I'm going to write another way that you could say it. You could also say add 80 fish for each tank. That's another way that you could do it, okay? So how would the table change if the pattern was multiply the number of tanks by 8? Well, it would change because all of these zeros would be gone. Okay, because if it was multiplied by 8, then you would take a 0 off of each total number of fish. Okay, so you would need to remove a 0 off each fish total. And to be clear, I'll write an example. 3 times 80 equals 240, but 3 times 8 equals 24. Okay, there's your example. It's always good to be super clear when you're writing those answers. Okay, kids, one more page. We're almost done. We're almost there. Hang in. Here we go. 297. Let's do it. If you need to pause the video and stretch it out or get a drink or go to the bathroom, do so, but come back because this last page is just as important. All right. Devon has 80 books to pack in boxes. She packs 20 books in each box. How many boxes does she need? Now, we're not just going to solve it. We want to make sure we follow their specific directions. They want us to write an equation using the letter N to stand for the unknown factor. Then they want us to explain how to find the unknown factor. Okay. So we know that her total number is 80, correct? So if her total number of books she has is 80, that's going to go after my equals sign. And then I also know that she has 20 books that can go in each box, but how many boxes? So 20 books in each box. And I'm using N because they told me to use N. Now let me show you some other ways you could have written this. You could have said N times 20 equals 80. You could have said 80 equals N times 20. And you could have said 80, oops, not parentheses, equals 20 times N. Any of these are fine. But you did have to use N because that's what they told you to do. Okay? And they want you to explain how to find the unknown factor. But that's kind of up to you. How would you solve it? Well, I'm going to say I'm going to use the tens trick and find 2 times what equals 8, right? So 2 times what equals 8? So that's 4. So that means 20 times 4 equals N. So I'm going to say N equals 4 boxes. So there's my answer. Now let's explain how we found it. I used the tens trick and covered the zeros. Two times question mark equals 8 is 4. Okay, that's what we asked ourselves, right? All right. Okay, the bookstore has 6 shelves of books about animals. There are 30 books on each shelf. How many books about animals does the bookstore have? Shade the squares to make a diagram to show how you can use the distributive property to find the number of books about animals in the bookstore. Remember, we did this. We know from the dark blue bar to the other dark blue bar, is 10. Okay? So I need 6 shelves of 30. All right, so that means I'm going to go down 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? And they have already shown you from here to here is 10. From here to here is 10 more. And from here to here is 10 more. There's your distributive property. Instead of 30, you have 10 plus 10 plus 10. Okay? So I'm going to draw this all the way across. I have 6 rows of 30, or if you want to look at them divided, you have 6 rows of 10 plus 6 rows of 10 plus 6 rows of 10. Okay, and it wants you to shade them. I have a marker, so I'm not really going to shade them because then it's hard to see. But if you have a pencil or a light crayon, you can. Okay, but we're not finished yet. It wants us to show our work using the distributive property. So we can't just write anything in this box. So let's remember our distributive property. So we started with 6 times 30. Okay? Our diagram broke 30 into 10 plus 10 plus 10. So now I've got 6 times 10 plus 10 plus 10. Because that is what my diagram is showing me. Okay? So now I'm going to distribute that number. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to write the problem for each of these arrays. If you look at this array is 6 times 10. This array is 6 times 10. This array is 6 times 10. Just like up here, you're adding them. So we're going to say 6 times 10 plus 6 times 10 plus 6 times 10. So just do the number of arrays that are here. They're already separated into tens for you, which makes it very easy. And then we're going to solve. And we have 60 plus 60 plus 60. I know a lot of you are thinking, why couldn't I just do the zeros trick and do 6 times 30? I get it. But there are many instances where they want you to demonstrate that you understand some of the other strategies. Even though they might not be your favorite to use, you need to be able to understand how to use them. So I know 60 plus 60 is 120. So I got 120 plus 60. And then 120 plus 60 is 180. So there's 180 animal books. Okay? This may not be your favorite way, but when your directions are asking you to show a certain way, that is the way you need to show it. And just a reminder, if you forget how to show the distributive property, go to your vocab cards that we cut out at the very beginning of the chapter. Find the distributive property vocab card. Flip it over. It's going to give you an example of what your equation should look like. Okay? All right. Last page. Cody saves all his nickels. Today he is getting them out of his piggy bank and wrapping them to take to the bank. He finds he has 360 nickels. It takes 40 nickels to fill each paper wrapper and make a roll. How many wrappers does he need? All right, here we go. So we have 360 nickels. Boom. I know that's my total amount, so it has to go here. They want us to write an equation using n for the unknown number. Well, I know I have blank number of wrappers, but they each hold 40. That's all you got to do. This is also acceptable. If you wrote 40 times n equals 360, this is also acceptable. These are the only two options, though. Okay? Explain how you would solve this problem, okay? How would you solve it? Are you going to use your tens trick? Are you going to use place value? What are you going to do? So this is where you have to decide how you're going to solve it. So let's say that you used place value or the facts that you already know, right? So I'm going to say I used place value. And here's what I'm going to tell you. Okay? I'm going to tell you that I know that 9 times 4 equals 36. Right? So 9 times 40 tens. Okay, 9 times 40 tens is 36 tens, right? Are you with me? And 36 tens equals 360. Okay? Honestly, as long as you explained how you found your answer, it works. Okay? But you need to actually explain how you found your answer. Don't just say, I solved the problem. I did it in my head. That's not explaining how you found your answer. Okay? Okay. Ruben is collecting cans for the recycling contest at school. He makes 2 plans to try to collect the most cans. So plan A is to collect 20 cans each week for 9 weeks. Plan B, collect 30 cans each week for 7 weeks. Which plan should Ruben choose, and explain how you made your choice? Stop right there. Don't guess and just write a plan down. Don't you dare do it. Let's solve. So plan A would be 20 times 9. And I know 2 times 9 is 18. I put my 0 back. Plan B would be 30 times 7. And I know 3 times 7 is 21. Then put your 0 back. So 180, 210. He wants to collect the most cans, so it's obvious that he should choose Plan B. Explain how you made your choice. Okay, well, I solved to find totals for each plan and picked the largest number. I solved to find products for each plan and chose the highest total. It's that simple, my friends. All right. I hope you feel nice and confident about your Chapter 5 study guide now. Tomorrow you will take your Chapter 5 test, and I will see you then.